Good morning, Mr. Rangga. My name is Vira Anissa Kusuma. My seat is 332100169. I will explain about tragic comedy and tragic comedy to fulfill about assignment in English drama. Next. I want to tell you about my favorite movie. The genre is comedy. The title is Game Night. Here, synopsis. Max and Annie's weekly game night gets kicked up a notch when Max's brother Brooks arranges murder mystery party complete with fake thugs and federal agents. So when Brooks gets kidnapped, it's all supposed to be part of the game. As the competitors set out to solve the case, they start to learn that neither the game nor Brooks are what they seem to be. The friends soon find themselves in over their heads as each twist leads to another unexpected turn over the course of one chaotic night. Here is the clip about game night. In this picture, they have a couple and the dog. Next, Game Night is an English comedy film with mixed action genre produced by Warner Bros. Pictures and shown in the big screen in cinemas on May 2018. The main characters in this film are Max, Annie, Brooke, and Sarah. In this film, very recommended to you if you are the situation is sad or if you watching this film, you can funny and laugh again. Next, I want to explain about example of tragic drama in Elizabethan era. First example is Bussy the Amboys. In real life, Louis the Bussy the Amboys, published in 1603 until 1607, is a man of insolence and fiery courage. He is raised from poverty and introduced to the court of Henry III of France by Monsieur, brother of the king, his protector. He quarrels with the king's courtiers, of whom he kills three in an encounter, and even with the Duke de Guise. He embarks on an affair with Tamira, wife of Monsieur on Monsieur. Monsieur, who also desires Tamira, betrays Bussy to Monsieur. Monsieur, by torture, forces Tamira to lure Bussy into a trap. He is overpowered and killed. Dying deviantly on his feet, he like a Roman statue I will stand till that had made me marble. Chapman's sequel is the revenge of Bussy the Amboys. So in this movie, we know about tragic drama because it's very sad. Because the role is killed by other. Playwright by Gert Chapman. And the character is Bussy the Amboys, Monsieur, Monsuri, Gus, King Harry, Tamira, Comolet, Behemoth, Cartoplex, Nabal, Pyrrho, Dutch. So this is a French movie. Next, this is a picture in Bussy the Amboys originally book. And this is enthusiast French people to watching about this movie. Next, example of tragic drama in modern era. One is example of tragic drama in modern era is A View from Bridge. So what is the synopsis of View from Bridge? So Eddie Carbo is devoted to his wife Beatrice and his niece Catherine. When Beatrice's cousins Marco and Rodolfo enter the U.S. illegally, desperate to find work, having fled the poverty of Sicily, the pair will come into the Carbon home. But as Rodolfo and Catherine fall in love, Eddie's adoration of his niece is no longer touching but terrifying. Simmering with jealousy and obsession, Italian-American immigrant life of 1950, Brooklyn colors Miller's stirring drama of tragic proportions. The universal story of family, immigration, and justice cuts deeply in this gripping, award-winning independent production from the old Fitzgerald. Don't miss it to watching. And playwright in this movie is Arthur Miller, and originally produced by Dramatic Play Service in 1955. And this is example clip in a view from the bridge. We move on to example of comedy in Elizabethan era. Synopsis as you like it. Rosalind and her cousin escape into the forest and find Orlando, Rosalind's love. Disguised as a boy shepherd, Rosalind has Orlando who are under the guise of curing him of his love for Rosalind. Rosalind reveals she is a girl and marries Orlando during a group wedding at the end of the play. This is in Elizabethan era. The playwright is William Shakespeare. So this is a clip from adaptation as you like it. So you can see in the screen there have three boy and two women like going together and about the movie. Next, I will explain about example of comedy in modern era. The title is The Play That Goes Wrong. So the author is Henry Lewis, Jonathan Sayer, and Henry Schwartz, produced in 2012. So the play that goes wrong follows the antics of the Conley Polytechnic Drama Society, who are trying their very best to stage a production of a 1920 murder mystery. As the show's title might suggest, this is not as easy as it sounds, with everything that goes wrong brings just that. Despite the setbacks, the actor of CPD struggle briefly to reach the final curtain. So the characters are Sandra, Max, Dennis, Annie, Trevor, Chris, Jonathan, and Robert. So this is a clip about the play that goes wrong. As you can see, the situation is very funny and very happy situation. Next. Example of tragic comedy drama in Elizabethan era. Synopsis: The Winter's Tale. The jealous king learns falsely accuse his wife Hermione of infidelity with his best friend, and she dies. Leonis exiles his newborn daughter, Perdita, who is raised by stepparents for 16 years and fall in love with the son of Leonis' friends. When Perdita returns home, a statue of Hermione comes to life and everyone is reconciled. So the playwright is William Shakespeare. By William Shakespeare is written about 1609 until 1611 and produced at the Globe Theatre in London. It was published in the first folio of 1623 from a transcript by Ralph Crane, scrivener of the King's Men, of an authorial manuscript or possibly the playbook. One of Shakespeare's final plays, The Winter's Tale, is a romantic comedy with elements of tragedy. So this movie is combination about elements comedy, romantic, and also tragedy. This is a example clip about The Winter's Tale. Next, example of tragic comedy drama in modern era. Endgame. Endgame is played in one act by Samuel Beckett, written in French as Pinder Party and published in 1957. It was translated into English by the author. Endgame has four characters: Ham, the master, who is blind, wheelchair-bound, and demanding clothes his resourceful servant, physically incapable of sitting down, and Ham crept senile parents, Nick and Nell, confined to garbage cans. They all live in one room with two windows. The complex relationship between ham and cloth is the principal subject of the play. As is characteristic of Beckett plays, the setting of endgame is bare and the stage directions are copious. The character is or are ham, cloth, neck, and nail. This is originally book by Samuel Beckett and Gam. Next, playwright in tragic drama. Who is second famous in tragic drama, or what is the first famous in tragic drama? Okay, let's continue. First is John Webster, and the second is Arthur Miller. So let's know about two famous playwrights in tragic drama. First, John Webster, born in 1580 in London, English, and died in 1632. English dramatist whose The White Devil in 1609 until 1612 and The Duchess of Malfi in 1612 or 1613, published in 1623, are generally regarded as the paramount 17th century English tragedies apart from those of Shakespeare. The second is playwright Arthur Miller, attended the University of Michigan before moving back east to write dramas for the stage. Miller was born in Harlem, New York on October 17, 1915 to an immigrant family of Polish and Jewish descent. His father, Isidore, owns a successful coat manufacturing business, and his mother, Augusta, to whom he was closer, was an educator and an avid reader of novels. He earned with great for that of a salesman, which opened on Broadway in 1949 and won the Pulitzer Prize along with multiple Tonys. He received more acclaim for his awards-winning follow-up, The Crucible, which reflected his unwavering refusal to cooperate with the House and American Activities Committee. So this is a clip about tragic drama. Who is very sad. Next, famous playwright in comedy drama. First is Molière, and the second is Aristophanes. So let's move on to her history. First, Molière. Original name Jean-Baptiste Poquelin, Baptiste January 15, 1622 in Paris, France, and died February 17, 1673 in Paris. French actor and playwright, the greatest of all writers of French comedy. Although the sect and secular authorities of 17th century France often combined against him, the genius of Molière finally emerged to win his claim. Comedy had a long history before Molière, who employed most of its traditional forms, but he succeeded in inventing a new style that was based on a double vision of normal and abnormal, seen in relation to each other, the comedy of the true opposed to the specious, the intelligent, seen alongside the pedantic. To living in an age of reason, he had the good sense not to proselytize, but rather to animate the absurd, as in such mortal piece as Tartuffe, L'École des Femmes, Le Misanthrope, Le Bourgeois Gentle Home, and many others. And the second is Aristophanes. Aristophanes is born in 450 BCE and died in 388 BCE. The greatest representative of ancient Greek comedy and the one whose works have been preserved in great quantity. He is the only extant representative of the old comedy, that is, of the piece of comic dramaturgy in 5th century BCE, in which chorus, mime, and burlesque still played a considerable part and which has characterized by bold fantasy, merciless invective, and outrageous satire, and abasely licentious humor, and a marked freedom of political criticism. His artwork famous are the Arsenian, the birds, the frog, and etc. This is a picture about comedy. The makeup is so funny. Now, next, famous playwright in tragic comedy. First is Harold Pinder, and the second is Berkeley Bitkin. So, what is the history about two of them? First, Harold Pinder, born in October 10, 1930 in London, England, and died December 24 in 2008 in London. English playwright who achieved international renown as one of the most complex and challenging post-World War II dramatists. His plays are noted for their use of understatement, small talk, reticence, and even silence to convey the substance of characters too, which often lies several layers beneath and contradicts his speech. In 2005, he won the Nobel Prize for Literature. He also wrote the screenplays for The Last Icon in 1976, The French Lieutenant's Woman in 1981, the screen version of his own play Betrayal in 1983, The Handmaid's Tale in 1990, and Sledge 2007. The second is Berkeley Beckett, born April 15, 1906. Rocks, County Dublin, Ireland, and died December 22 in 1989 in Paris, France. He is author, critic, and playwright, winner of the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1969. He wrote in both French and English and is perhaps best known for his play, especially in Attendant Godot in 1952. Or Waiting for Godot. After his return to Paris between 1946 and 1949, Beckett produced as a number of stories, the major prose narratives Molloy in 1951, Malone Morat in 1951, Malone Dice and Innommable in 1953, The Unnameable. And to place the unpublished 3-act Eulotria and Waiting for Godot. Next, I will talking about origin tragic drama. During the festivities, 3 playwrights competed for the title of teacher, each presenting 3 self-written tragedies and a satire play, a Greek tragic comedy. When the Roman Republic conquered many areas of Greece, it extended Greece's special form of theater, namely tragedy, to a wider audience and even greater popularity across the continent. Although he was very famous and immensely popular in his day, no Roman tragedy has survived to modern times. A few centuries later, the Greek philosopher Aristotle defined tragedy as a specific art form in his seminal treatise Critics. Aristotle is just one of many philosophers who over the centuries have defined tragedy on his own terms. Next, I will explain about characteristics of tragic drama. First is unhappy end. Usually in tragic drama, the genre is unhappy end. The second is main character comes to unhappy end. Usually main characters is unhappy situation or a sad character because there is a tragic and the emotional is very hard. And the third is important in society. Hero is usually someone important in society. And fourth is extraordinary abilities. Usually in tragic drama, the main character have abilities extraordinary, like good to swarm or etc. Fourth is outside versus or antagonist. In tragic drama, usually have antagonist character. Next is related event. Next is audience sympathy. So in tragic drama, the movie is focused about audience sympathy. So the audience sympathy can get attention from the movie and the character because develop the state character. And usually is killed to other meets doom. And I want to talk about elements of tragedy. There are plot, character, truth, diction, song, and spectacles. The plot is the most important part of a tragedy. The plot means the arrangement of the incidents. Normally, the plot is divided into 5 acts, and each act is further divided into several scenes. Origin of comedy drama. The word comedy seems to be connected by the division with the Greek verb meaning to revel, and comedy arose out of the revel's association with the rise of Dionysus, a god of vegetation. The origins of comedy are respond up with vegetation ritual. Aristotle, in his poetic states that comedy originated in Pelic songs and that, like tragedy, began in improvisations. True tragedy evolved by stage that can be traced. The progress of comedy passed unnoticed because it was not taken seriously. When tragedy and comedy arose, both wrote one or the other according to their natural bent. Those of the graver sort who might previously have been inclined to celebrate the action of the great in epic poetry turned to tragedy. Poets of a lower type who had set forth the doing of the ignoble in invectives turned to comedy. The distinction is basic to the Aristotelian differentiation between tragedy and comedy. Tragedy imitates men who are better than the average and comedy men who are worse. So what is characteristic of comedy drama? First is the logical smart ones. Usually the character is smart and responsible and stable characters. The second is the lovable loser. Sarcastic, optimistic, needy, impulsive. So the character usually also sarcastic words to talk about to other, an optimistic character and also needy and also impulsive to antagonist character. Third is the neurotic. The neurotic is awkward, nervous, controlling, worried. Fourth is the dumb one. In this character is very friendly, naive, gullible, no ulterior or motive. So this the dumb one is the funny character usually find in comedy drama because have funny action who make audience laugh. And the fifth is the bitch or bastard. Mean is sensitive, insecure, doesn't apologize. And the sixth is the womanizer or womanizer, aka slutty spice, charming, seductive, horny, superficial. And the seventh is the materialistic one, judgmental, entitled, spoiled. Usually, this character is so doing something what everything to get money. And eight is in their own universe, aka species spice. The character is odd, eccentric, uses illogical logic. And this is a picture to illustrate about comedy. The comedy is usually fun and make you happy to watching this movie. So what is origin of tragicomedy? The tragicomedy dramatic work incorporating both tragic and comic elements. When coined by the Roman dramatist Plautus in the 2nd century BC, the word denoted a play in which gods and men, masters and slaves reversed the roles traditionally assigned to them. Gods and heroes acting in comic burlesque and slaves adopting tragic dignity. In the Renaissance, tragicomedy became a genre of play that mixed tragic elements into drama that was mainly comic. So in tragic drama is going together or mix about tragedy and comedy to combination. So the movie is not seriously, but there have a funny jokes. And the Italian writer Battista Guarini defined tragicomedy as having most of these elements. Example, a certain gravity of dictions, the depiction of important public events, and the arousal of comparison, but never carrying the action to tragedy's conclusion, and judiciously including such comic elements as low-born characters, laughter, and deaths. 19th century romantic critics espoused Shakespeare's use of tragicomedy in the belief that his plays closely mirrored nature, and they used him as a model for their works. George Bernard Shaw said of Ibsen's work that is established tragicomedy as a more meaningful and serious entertainment than tragedy. So what is characteristic of tragicomedy? First, mix of tragedy and comedy. And the second is importance of sarcasm. Usually, in tragicomedy, there is a meaning aim to about sarcasm word to talking about this character. The third is blunt and fourth is realistic character. So in tragicomedy drama, the character is very realistic about the behavior or about the character, decision, and etc. Or is universal themes. Usually, the tragicomedy is using themes universal. And next is the funny character. Usually, in tragicomedy, is have a funny character who developed this movie. So the movie is a combination about tragic and comedy. This is example picture about tragic comedy. One side is happy, one side is sad or serious. Thank you.